Hello, I'm Cecelia Tichi, Tichi, and I'm here to talk about my newest mystery called the Val and Roddy DeVere, that's their last name, the Val and Roddy DeVere Gilded series. And the word gilded, of course, comes from the Gilded Age, the era of the late 1800s and into the 1900s, when America was, as is sometimes said today, in its first of our current Gilded Age. What does that mean? It means tremendously vibrant invention, great fortunes won, and some people with no fortunes at all. A widespread wealth gap, but much excitement. So we're talking about a historical mystery novel. And what is this one about? It features the silver heiress, Valentine Louise Mackle DeVere. Her papa was an Irish immigrant who struck it very rich in silver in the far west and became what is known as a silver king. She marries a fifth generation Knickerbocker old New York gentleman, Roddy, and it's almost love at first sight when Roddy, with his parents coming to the West, shows off with a cocktail he has learned to mix. And let's bear in mind that cocktails were another invention of the Gilded Age. Until the late 19th century, it was thought that if you had anything in your whiskey, ice, water, let alone fruit juice, or other mixers, you were diluting, you were cheapening your drink. So it was the Gilded Age, which became the great golden age of cocktails. And Roderick, a law school graduate, a practicing attorney at the criminal bar, he has taken up a serious hobby of cocktail mixing, very serious, to the effect that he consults with resorts and steamship lines and railroads. He mixes signature cocktails for them, but only on the sly, on the QT. He doesn't want his name to be associated with those wonderful drinks that he mixes. In the courtroom, he defends saloons, bars, cafes from the temperance crowd who are sworn to abolish all alcoholic drinks in the United States. The temperance crowd is on the march, and Roddy defends the libations of hotels and so on from the shutdown that they swear. Roddy knows, and this is a fact, that at the time, we're talking the late 1800s, foods, medicines, and beverages were unregulated by any inspection. There had become a pure food movement, it was called. Groups all around the country gathering, listening to speakers who argued that our food was sometimes unhealthy, as were our beverages, and our drugs terrible. It happens that Roddy's former law school classmate, a man named Martin Coates, was the son of a family that had made a fortune on a medicine called Vitaline. Val remembers the silver miners drinking it out west. It's national. It's a moneymaker and has been for a couple of generations, but Martin knows that its contents are toxic. It really includes formaldehyde, creosote, toxins, and Martin is determined to shut down the Vitaline plant and start a business, a partnership with Roddy in bitters. Cocktail bitters, orange bitters, Angostura bitters, Well, bitters was just as able to be corrupted as were the liquors and the gins and the whiskeys and so on. So the two men have a partnership underway, planned. Here's the hitch. Martin's father has died, elderly man. A will was read. That's fine. Martin's brother inherited most of everything. Martin inherited the Vitaline operation, that toxic medicine. Then his wife suddenly died just a few weeks ago in Chicago. Martin is from Chicago. And I would like to read then some of the pages when Martin comes to New York to see Val and Roddy. In an afternoon, he's taken the train from Chicago. He has an appeal to make to them concerning his wife's death. He knows that the DeVeres have gained a reputation as amateur sleuths. They have solved cases, and this is one that he hopes they will solve to keep the partnership alive. Here's what he has to say. He is in the drawing room in New York, 620 Fifth Avenue, Roddy and Val DeVere's house that his parents built in 1887, a French chateau. Val has left the West to come east with her Roddy, and here they are. This is Martin speaking. My father swore by the patent medicine, called my facts quibbles, and took a stand against me. He waved them in front of my dear wife and taunted her. Liquid gold, Lydia. I begged him to stop, but he laughed, and I barred him from our home. Our arguments grew heated, father against son. The pure food movement is gaining ground, I told him. Chemists are the new detectives. I gave him a recent book exposing adulterated food and warned him that patent medicines will be next. Martin tugged at his collar. My father stopped speaking to me. Owen, that's his brother, his messenger. If signatures were required on business documents, Owen brought them to me. Whatever my father suggested and requested, Owen handled the matter. My wife's health was always delicate, Mr. and Mrs. DeVere, Roderick. And then the accident. Roddy glanced my way. I softly said, last month in March. Martin's jaw clenched. Lydia tumbled down the stairway of our home. Sarah found her. Sarah? I asked gently. Our good friend, Sarah Dow, has been staying with us. I was working. There was nothing to be done. Doctors were called. Nothing to be done. He fingered the suit coat button and drew a deep breath. My father's stroke paralyzed him, but he spoke to me in his will. He left $1 million to my sister Celia, and to Owen, all the real estate holdings and tens of millions. To me, perhaps you could guess. Martin nodded when he heard my husband murmur, Vitaline. We grew quiet. The afternoon light shifted, and I caught sight of our footman crossing to another room to adjust the draperies. Roddy said, It's our plan for the partnership, isn't it, Martin? You've come to discuss phasing out Vitaline, and the bitters business is somehow tied to phasing out Vitaline, which need not disrupt our plans, DeVere. Martin had not answered Roddy's question, but his words rushed on. The company has the glassworks for the bottles, the imported cork, the print shop for labels, the national distribution. He toyed with a loose button on his suit. And you assured me, DeVere, that cocktails are an expanding opportunity. You call this the golden age of cocktails. I do, said Roddy. And you are certain that ladies will drink cocktails in a few years? Not only wine and liqueurs, but mixed drinks as well? You believe the day is coming? We discussed that last February, Martin, said my husband. Then it's settled, DeVere. Martin looked from Roddy to me and said, you must come to Chicago, both of you, and prove the detective is on a witch hunt against our family and our friend. You will come to Chicago and prove that my wife has not been murdered. And so this is the mystery in which there is much to be done, still in New York, and Roddy and Val will go to Chicago. I don't know whether Chicago readers will love the chapters. They will find a rough town, a rough city, a Gilded Age city in which Bertha Palmer is buying Monet, an impressionist avant-garde artist, and hanging Monet's paintings in the Palmer House Hotel. They will also find that bombs have been exploding in Chicago, that a mayor of the city was recently shot dead at his front door by an office seeker who was disappointed in not getting a job. Roddy and Val will find themselves in Chicago, and they'll find their own lives at some peril. So please, welcome a deadly gilded free fall, and we'll find out what happened in Chicago this time. Thank you.